Hey y'all, what's up and welcome to a brand new camera tutorial. Last week we got in these awesome Blackmagic Pyxis 6K rigs, and I just want to help you know what you're doing when you pick up this thing. So come along, let's walk through a few steps. This part right here is the camera body. So you can see it has the screen on it, the controls. This holds our V-mount batteries. There are options for rigging and stuff on the tops. On the bottom has rails, so we have this nice tilt-a-cage system on here. So let's get started building this out, and the first thing I'm going to do is put a lens on this thing because it's kind of freaking me out that the sensor's open right now. So what's different from these than our Pocket 6Ks? These have a new locking system on them, so it's still the same EF mount lenses that we have always used. And so what you're going to do is take the red dot and line it up with the red dot here, and you're going to turn, and you're going to hear that click. Now, that is locked in, but the Pyxises also have, if you can see this right here, on this side, they have this little rotator dial right here, and to fully lock in this lens, you're going to rotate that until you can't anymore. So now, to unlock it and change the lens, you have to rotate this back, and then you have to press the little detent button right here, and then you can take off your lens. So just doing that in reverse. So red dot to red dot, click it in, and then rotate these rings to the top. And now you have your lens on the camera. Awesome. All right, the next thing we're gonna do is put on this battery. So these cameras use a V-mount battery. There's no longer a cable to plug in the battery. And so what we're gonna do is take this part right here, and it's gonna slide down into this channel. So we're just gonna take it, line it up, and you'll hear it click in as well. So now this battery is on. To take off the battery, you're gonna press this little silver button right here and just pull up on it. And that is it. So now that you have your battery slid in and it's nice and locked in, the power button is right here. It might be hard for y'all to see that, but it's right here on the back. You can power that on and you will see the camera come on. Yep, perfect, there we are. All right, power off, you just do the same thing. This one battery powers the camera and the monitor. So this is the Pyxis dedicated monitor. And so this monitor plugs in USB-C and gets its power from the V-mount battery as well. So the USB-C cable goes from here to right here on the front of the camera. So that is one of the few cables that you will need. If your monitor goes out, you can check that USB-C cable, make sure that it's seated properly. It does have these locking screws right here, so it should not move at all. But this monitor is great because you can tilt it, you can swivel it however you want, and it will stay in the position that you put it in. All right, next up, let's get the important wireless transmitting device. We use the Teradek Bolt 4Ks. Let's get the Teradek mounted onto the camera as well. I'm gonna take off the battery right here. The Teradek is gonna sit directly on top. I have a double-sided quarter 20 thread right here, and we are just gonna screw this right onto the top of the camera. Perfect. All right, now in order to get the video signal from the Pyxis to the Teradek, we are going to connect it with the SDI out here to the SDI in on the Teradek. So we're going to use this SDI cable here. We're going to go from the out of the camera, which is this top one. We're going to line up the pins and twist and lock that in. That side is locked in. And then we are going to run it around to the SDI in to the Teradek, which is this far bottom pin right here. All right, now we have the Teradek hooked up. So now we are wirelessly transmitting from our Teradek to our receivers, and the feed is coming straight out of the SDI out on the camera into the Teradek. All right, and next we need to power the Teradek too. So that's where this other cable, there's only 3 cables on this entire rig. This other cable comes in, so we are going to plug it in to the Teradek to power it. Boop. That locks in right there. And then with this other side here, we are gonna go into the D-tap, which is what we used on our Pocket 6Ks. Y'all will remember those. We'll go into the D-tap right here on the bottom of this V-mount plate. All right, so now everything is plugged in and ready to go. I'm gonna set the battery back on here and lock it in. And the last little thing is these nice tilt-a handles that we have here. These are bougie, I know, but they are great. They come with this NATO rail that's right here. And all we're gonna do is take this and slide it right onto the NATO rail, and then we're gonna use this lever right here to lock it down. And now we have fully assembled our Pyxis 6K cameras. The little black part on the handle right here, if you push that, it allows you to just rotate the handle and it'll lock in wherever you want it. All right, that's fully assembled. So now when we hit this power button right here and power it on, you will see the camera power on and the monitor power on. Cool. So now we have it all built out and ready to go. Let's dive into the settings and the menu, which you should be familiar with. All right, y'all, so one of the coolest things about these new Pyxis 6K rigs is the user experience is very similar to our Pocket 6K cameras. So the UI, the menu system, all that is the same. There's only one key difference that this new camera has versus our Pocket 6Ks, and that is that these only have Blackmagic RAW and we don't have ProRes on the Pyxis platform. So let's take a look at this menu. Like I said, it'll be very familiar. So down here you have all kinds of buttons. We have our custom function buttons. So F1, F2, and F3. If you remember, those on the Pyxises were on the Pocket 6Ks, they were the 3 dots on the top, F1, F2, and F3, and those are just set to do custom functions. Those are literally set exactly like we had the Pyxises set, or the Pocket 6Ks set. I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep confusing those. F1 is focus assist, F2 is turning your LUT on and off, and F3 is your grid setting, so it'll turn off your thirds and all that kind of stuff. So diving into the menu, I'm gonna hit the menu button right here. As you can see, the menu is literally exactly the same with your record, monitor, audio setup, presets, and LUTs buttons. So like I said, the only difference in these and the last Pocket 6K rigs is we only have B-RAW here. And our B-RAW setting should be set to constant bitrate with an 8:1 compression ratio. Also, these are 6K, so we can shoot B-RAW 8:1 in the 6K 16:9 aspect ratio. So that's what we should have selected on these is B-RAW, constant bitrate, 8:1, 6K 16:9. That's perfect. Moving on through these, if you want to, you can take a deep dive into this set. All this stuff is already set for you. So I would encourage you to pick one up and go through the menus and just get familiar with it. We have our monitor, so we have the LCD option, which is the screen here, SDI, which is what's going to the Teradek to send out. We have clean feed on and display our LUT so that our LUT goes through. And then USB-C right here controls what you see on the monitor. Now, the cool thing about this monitor is that you can access all of your settings on the monitor. You don't have to turn the camera sideways when you're out there operating and tap on this screen. You can access literally anything you need to from this monitor, change your settings, all while you're holding the camera. So no need to look at the screen and touch that. You can change everything right here on the monitor and it will control everything in the menu settings. So the number one important thing I want to show you, the only thing you really need to know for a Sunday morning, is this presets tab right here. Just as always, we have 1 or 2 presets depending on what camera you grab. 2025 is our Sunday morning preset. So every time you get this camera, right before we start to go live at the countdown, whenever you have time, you're gonna select 2025 here and you're gonna hit the check mark to load that preset. That will make sure when we hit the menu button that we are at 2997. We have 180-degree shutter. We're ISO 400 and 5200 Kelvin on our white balance, and our iris setting is 3.3, somewhere around there. That will make sure that the camera is ready to go for our Sunday morning broadcast. Other than that, guys, that's really all you need to know. I would encourage you to come by, get used to holding it, get used to the handle, get used to where you're gonna rest your hand to control your zoom and your focus. And let's use these things for the glory of God, for building the kingdom, and for sharing the gospel to thousands of people online. I'm so excited about these new rigs, and I hope you guys are too. Love you guys.